G'day again. This is our second crop report for the 2023 season. I'm happy to advise that since the last report we've had some really favourable weather conditions. So we're still dealing with quite late maturity on the overall crop. Things are still 2 to 3 weeks behind in most cases, but the weather conditions have been superb. We've had typical hot, dry conditions that we really want this time of year, and the harvest is about to begin. So if this weather can continue for another 4 to 6 weeks, we're in for some decent quality out of this upcoming season. This patch of sun musket's got very heavy crop load. So what we're finding with the bigger crops is they're very immature still. You can see it's still very green, and to eat this is starting, you can eat the berries, but they're still quite tangy and sour. So what we're finding is these big crop loads are still a bit behind, whereas the stuff that has a lower or lesser crop because of the impacts of the downy mildew is more advanced, and that's ready to harvest right now. This is some downy mildew affected sun musket. So the sugar levels of these are a bit more advanced than that heavy crop load that we showed you previously. So there's still some really nice fruit in here, but you come in and you can see these areas where the dead bunches from the downy mildew that come in. So you can imagine how big this crop would have been if these bunches were all producing fruit like the ones that still remain. So still, we're happy to say the crop has recovered somewhat. As we harvest this fruit, it'll come off like any other fruit. You won't see any any example of the downy mildew in the bin itself or in the fruit itself. But obviously we've lost a percentage of the crop across the entire district because of that disease pressure we had earlier in the season. This is a patch of Selma Pete. It's got quite a heavy crop load on it, and this is looking quite good. It should dry light, nice light colour hopefully if we get some decent weather in the next couple of weeks. This is some heavy crop load sun glow. You can see the bunches are well developed. So we've got some nice berries, but they're quite sour. They're still 3 or 4 weeks away. The sun glow on this heavy crop load is like the sun musket. It's a good 2 or 3 weeks behind a normal year, and it'll be cut very late. So still some time to go for these later varieties. Currants are a bit of a mixed bag this year. This patch we're in now got affected by downy mildew, and the fruit's advancing nicely. It's colouring up, and this can be harvested in the next week or so. But we've also got other patches that are still quite green and still 3 or 4 weeks away. But we do have a decent crop of currants coming our way this year. And finally, we'll show you some of our traditional variety, the Thompson Sultana. You can see here that again the fruit is recovered well with the decent weather that we've had in the last month. It's still behind the normal maturity, but this will be cut in the next week with the harvest starting as well. You can see in this patch here some of the signs of the downy mildew as well that affected the volume, but none of this will end up in the raw material itself. That will dry up to nothing and be lost, whereas this will still potentially dry as good light coloured fruit as long as we have good weather conditions over the next 4 to 6 weeks. So I'll finish the report there, but really that's the new challenge for the industry now in the next month, is that we get another good month of weather like we've had in February. If we can get another 3 or 4 weeks of good solid dry hot conditions like a typical Mildura summer, then we could be in for a crop of excellent quality fruit, which is what we're hoping for. So we do have some lesser volume from the downy mildew losses, but we're still optimistic about having much better quality from the 2023 crop. So I'll be back in a couple of weeks to give you another update on the harvest, but until next time, it's bye for now.